Hello, this is Dr. Jacqueline with DTP-Leadership Group, and this is Hot Topic Bold Talk. I want to talk to you about the Trumpism chaos that he's creating for the last 2 weeks. I think it is a leadership that threatens America, and I will give you factual data to show you how he is threatening the people in America. I think our nation has been in crisis for 2 weeks. Over 48 years of my professional career, I have helped CEOs and C-suite leaders do effective change with no need to focus on vengefulness and getting back at somebody. So what we have is a president who's invested in his vengeful actions. His nominations are primarily to carry out his vengeful actions, and he's trying to prove that that is acceptable with the mandate he supposedly has from the people of the United States. I think it'll be very interesting for individuals who voted for him that now their country people are going to be probably sent back because of his agreements with the head of Venezuela. I think that will happen with a number of nations. And what happens to those people? So what I want to say is it's always been my privilege to really lead on leadership principles that support people making changes without having to make threats, without having to demand that they do something because I'm going to put a tariff on you. It's like he has no capacity to do anything except make threats and then back down on them because he thinks he's got what he wants. I've never seen a change that lasts or that is effective with chaos, and that's what he's doing. It's painful to people, and it's been painful for the last 2 weeks. And I propose that our current president is truly inadequate. If you have to blame, and never take responsibility for yourself, then there is something that's way off base. I don't know of any leader in organizations that have the chance to maintain their position when they blame, and they don't take responsibility for anything else. He did this in his first administration. He's done exactly what he's done before, which is create chaos and disaster with the actions he's had. You know, I think he's framed all these things in his thoughts of the tragedies that have happened to him. So he holds on to these ideological political lenses that are based on revenge. We look at the blame he placed on California wildfires on the Democratic politicians up there. He's had the audacity to talk about illegal immigration when there was a horrific terrorist attack in New Orleans, and the attacker was a U.S. citizen that was born in Texas, which happens to be the state I'm in. So it had nothing to do with illegal immigration. I think the freeze of $3 trillion was a tantrum that Trump had. He has forgotten that the $3 trillion is the people's money, not his. I think we've been warned, and I think it's really true that his tech group that Trump has formed is an oligarchy, and Elon Musk has no understanding of the democratic process, and many of his oligarchy do not either. think some of you need to read about Musk because he grew up in South Africa during the apartheid. His father ended up leaving Canada to South Africa because he had corrupt business practices that he was being investigated for. Trump has created a lot of anxiety, a lot of misinformation, and he has particularly decided on his intentions of what he's going to do in his new position. We all have to realize that Musk is not an elected official. He's been appointed by Trump. We can rise up against Musk. We can rise up against Trump and any other mega Republicans that decide to establish a dictatorial system rather than our democratic system. We can vote them out of office. And we need to pay attention because if we're going to have 4 years of 2 weeks like it's been, I don't know about you, but I'm not particularly interested in living with that kind of thing. He has no clue about how he's affected families and people that really need medical help with his $3 trillion freeze. Trump has abruptly frozen these funds, and he's also told the Department of Health and Human Services that they cannot speak to anyone. So there's going to be a series of consequences for his actions. His insane withdrawal from the World Health Organization has serious consequences. We would have never been through COVID, never saw many of the problems that we had with COVID like anyone else if we hadn't had the help of the World Service Organization. They probably have a solution in some country in the World Service Organization that know how to deal with bird flu because we do not. So I'm going to say to all of you that live in rural areas, wake up. Stop only listening to Fox News and stop reading only very restrictive conservative papers. Face the fact that you're not going to get the lowering of prices on food. In fact, you can guarantee that the price of eggs is going to go up, and it's already gone up 20%, and it's going to go up a lot more because there is limited eggs because of the bird flu. It's limited. Forbes did an excellent job on Wednesday, January 29th, and talked about the effect of the bird flu. When this kind of flu is found in chickens, then the farmer has to kill their entire flock. There's over 145 million chickens or birds that have been killed since this outbreak. Whole Foods and other stores are now restricting the number of cartons you can have of eggs. No president has ever been able to impact the price of food, and he is no different. The Federal Reserve determines a lot of things, and they are concerned right now with the impact of Trump's tariffs and how they will impact the inflation process. So they haven't lowered the interest rates because of his things that he thinks he needs to do. The only thing he's done so far is to threaten people with a tariff and then make some kind of agreement. But the thing of it is, there are many other ways to work with our partners rather than threatening them with a tariff. And one of the things that I think is really unclear to him is the Senate is the one that approves the the choices for positions in the government. And since his revenge tactics, there's been an elimination of some of the people, and they're trying to hold him responsible for his actions of this freeze and things that truly will impact our country. I think it's fascinating that the mayor of New York, that is so corrupt, and has gone to Trump and asked him if he would pardon him. So what he's collecting are people that are corrupt in itself or that will meet his vengeful agenda. I've already talked to you about the irrational pardoning of everyone that was involved with the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Now, the greatest thing that I have at the moment is the health crisis he's created. And I'm going to read you some statements from scientists that is in the Conversations article on Tuesday, January 28th. As you know, you'll get the references I've used or quoted at the end of my podcast. But here's what they have to say, and I want to use their language. So I'll quote from them. These are the statements that scientists made: alarming, devastating, disastrous, uncertainty, fear, and panic. Completely miserable. These are not exactly the words you want to hear when the nation's scientists are asked to describe the state of bioresearch in the United States after Trump's $3 trillion freeze. Trump's freeze abruptly ended communications from the Department of Health and Human Services, which led to a series of detrimental consequences. Researchers were scrambling since they had to get out of meetings. They ended in mid-session. Travel was banned. Job offers were rescinded. Scientists could no longer order materials necessary for their day-to-day lab work and a way to recruit patients in their clinical trials so they can publish scientific research that will help Americans stay healthy. The winding down of the U.S. biomedical research has essentially ground to a halt, at least until February 1. We still don't know what else is going to go on because it's going to take a while. But what has happened is the communication ban has really come to a place where there is a really stark reality that the federal government plays a major role in supporting research. And if that research is not funded by the federal government, then it's not going to happen. Salam, who is a pharmaceutical science researcher at the University of Iowa, he's been a long time person who's provided federal grants and done all kinds of things to support federal grants because he often reads them and approves them. He has talked about that scientists who own their work, they have to undergo a review process that's extensive. So to stop something immediately and give no opportunity to hear what the consequences are is outrageous. And what he says is, he said the pause underscores the fragility of the research funding pipeline, and it has major effects that we will see that will impact us years to come. And Amber Phillips increases the comments that were made in the Conversations in her article in the Washington Post on January 29th. The White House froze research grants, stopped federal public health communications, and Halted work with the global health groups. Experts let us know that it would make it difficult to keep Americans healthy in the short term. But this will also have an effect that will continue after Trump's administration ends. An expert in global health law, and he's a senior scholar at Johns Hopkins University Center for Health Security, says it's an agenda that intends on threatening the health of Americans, what Trump has done. The United States is known for our innovative medical treatment. When Trump stopped communication and the funding new clinical trials for cancer, which can be a patient's best hopes, are stopped, and no research, no rare diseases occur. And none of that research is occurring. I live in Houston, Texas. I live about 8 blocks from the medical center. I am well aware of what happens with cancer patients because I've been working with them for years, since 1975. And I know what MD Anderson does. It is one of the best known medical centers in the world. It is one of the best known, I'm saying. But there are people from all over the world that come to get their help. And so when their research is stopped and we don't have new advancements, I don't think Trump has a clue about what he has done. His actions have literally, and this is a statement in the article, have literally threatened real lives of people that are dependent on research. I know many cancer patients and heart patients that benefit from the medical research, and they could not be alive today if they didn't have it. We also, at this time, cannot plan for a major health crisis because we're not a part of the organization that we can talk to that we did during COVID to save the lives we could. Public health can combat disease. It can't do it without federal funding. The freezing of the funds had a massive impact on many programs, such as climate mitigation to after-school programs. All those kind of programs impact public health. Thank goodness a federal judge blocked it, and then we'll have to see what all can be done to stop this kind of action. But Trump must really hate American children, since what he's done with the stopping of providing the $3 trillion is he could have stopped Head Start and other child care services. The order itself was very confusing. It was chaotic, and it could affect anyone because there are states that cannot afford without federal funding to provide health care services to seniors. Again, the withdrawal from the World Health Organization, WHO, makes it very hard to resolve issues like we had in the last pandemic. And I want to read something to you. This is a comment from the article that I think is really important to hear. The United States has been a major contributor to the world's top health organization, and WHO is tasked with helping communities and countries fight everything from pandemics to malaria and even bird flu, like in the US. We're not a part of it, though, so we can't get the information. So let's be very clear what Trump's actions have done. His freezing $3 trillion has done all the things I'm talking about. And it keeps on going. There are many other things that are commented about this action. Again, Trump failed to realize that the money he's playing with is not his money. It's the people of the United States money. And in the Washington Post, in their early brief, they talk about how the Democrats claimed a victory when Trump's administration had his order frozen and it was rescinded. The Democrats banded together and they told the people what was going on. So the chaotic aftermath of a vague White House budget office memo instituting the freeze, Democrats highlighted scores of disruption to programs that Americans rely on, such as Medicaid and Head Start. We have to underscore the argument that Trump was grabbing power without any check on his authorities. So thank goodness the Democrats rose and then started talking to their Republican friends as well. Democratic state attorneys generals have also requested a restraining order on the federal aid pause in courts. And the Democratic members of the Congress and Republicans started stepping up and demanding that the Hill have the power of the purse, which is supposed to be Congress's power and right. Senate Democrats spent a long time delivering floor speeches about how Trump's freeze hurt their states. And they went for hours and hours before another confirmation vote on any of Trump's nominees. I have a lot of respect for Senator Tammy Duckworth, who's a Democrat from Illinois. And she was very clear about what the freezing of federal funds would be. She heard from many organizations and individuals who were affected by it. And she highlighted the fact that one of Chicago-based nonprofits that serves homeless youth couldn't do that because they didn't have the money because it was being frozen. She said it comes from the pressure that the Democrats campaign along with the Republicans got. And she said, there were even red congressional districts that were calling her. And she said, call your congressperson. Call your Republican man or woman and tell them what the problems are. So the liberal organizing of our revolution, which is one of the liberal organizing groups, along with in Divisible, they demanded that the Republican senators refuse to advance or confirm any of Trump's nominees until the freeze was ended. There were Democratic senators, they got the message, and 22 of them, nearly half, voted Tuesday to oppose Duffy, who they would have approved unless the freeze was stopped. Donald Trump needs to know that if he's going to use the levers of government to harm working families, she said, we're going to stand in his way. And Senator Cory Booker and Andy Kim, both New Jersey Democrats, said in a statement that they did not vote for Duffy, even though they would have, because the freeze had to be stopped. Now, the Washington Post has an excellent article written by Amber Phillips on January 18th that talks about that what they did was a violation of the Impounding Control Act, and it's illegal what they did, and it's truly, experts have said, unconstitutional. Now, the Public Citizen is a newspaper that I read because I think it has some great actions, and it has been famous for suing. So they've already sued. The minute that Trump was inaugurated, they sued Musk for the and Trump both for the actions that they took in forming what Trump is supposed to have as a particular department of our government. And what the Democrats said after they won the efforts to stop and got the 3 trillion freeze out through the judge, they said we have to face what the funding would have been for essential programs and services that impact all of us. So we have to realize that there was devastation for families and communities, and there can be unless this kind of stuff is stopped. The onslaught of Donald Trump, of Elon Musk, and the Trump minions are inflicting on us is unacceptable, is what some of the things were said in this article. Trump has wanted unlimited power, and he's testing everything to see if that can happen. And I like what the Public Citizen says. We just showed that it is not the case at all that he has unlimited power. And this is a lesson to keep in mind and act on consistently. This will not be the last fight over Trump's effort to freeze or divert spending Congress has already directed. We will soon face massive fights over spending cuts for poor and vulnerable for poor and vulnerable people, tax cuts for billionaires and big business, more money for the military industrial complex he wants to house immigrants, and more handouts to big oil. So the Public Citizen gives us all a message. Tell the Congress, tell your Congress, the representatives, call them, write them. The victory on Trump's illegal and dangerous funding freeze shows the power of what we can do to stand up. And we need to tell the Congress that, our representatives. Trump's policies are dangerous and they're unpopular. If you confront Trump, the American people will stand with you and defeat his authoritarian, his cruelty, and his giveaways to billionaire class. I have a lot of respect for David Graham, and he is with The Atlantic now. He wrote an article that said that's titled, "There is a strategy behind the chaos." And what he says, the strategy is to seize power and dare both the Congress and the courts to stop him. The administration wants to see what they can get away with, and if it doesn't work, so be it. It doesn't matter what the chaos was and how dramatic it was and the impact that it had on many people's lives. The U.S. money is not to be used like Trump is using it for his own political agenda. Trump is stuck on financial aid to foreign aid, to non-governmental organizations, to DEI, to woke gender identity, and the Green New Deal. He's got them all and more. And what he showed was he really doesn't care about most of the people in America with what he did with things that will affect our health. The order was not thought out. And in the article in The Atlantic, they have another one is about the problem with the money son Trump. And they title it, "Democracy is we, the people, not them, the owners of meme coins." Now, I'll admit I got really educated with this article because it described what is happening with Trump's meme coin and Musk and others. And they say in this article, Americans have been yielding sovereignty to tech magnates and their money for years. The milestones are sometimes startling. I was astonished and alarmed, the author wrote, when I learned in the summer of 2023 that Elon Musk had, within a span of 5 years, built an orbital network comprising more than half of the world's active satellites. His share has now risen to more than 60%. He controls of active satellites. Already in 2023, he controlled battlefield communication infrastructures used in the war between Ukraine and Russia. Musk is currently the head of Donald Trump's new Department of Government Efficiency, known as DOGE, which is taking over the U.S. digital system. He's even gotten, because of the appointee that Trump put in, some of the secret Treasury information that has never been given to someone like him. Trump is also making a bid for TikTok. And here's something that happened in December. The Romanian elections were canceled in the middle of voting because of fears that propaganda from Russia by means of TikTok was driving the election results. Sounds like to me that Romania has even more effective ways of respecting their democratic process than we do. But here's some of the detail about the memes. So any cryptocurrency is usually formed so that it will have some value. The memes have no value in the crypto economic system. It's referred some popular phenomena and gains its value only because of the people interested in that particular meme. Meme coins also lack the security that can render them a stable part of the crypto financial infrastructure. There's a serious question how Trump can benefit from his money sign Trump meme. No one really knows who are the beneficial owners of it. They know that this particular system started in China, in Iran, North Korea, and Russia, and the platforms are controlled by Gate and Beyonce. Past presidents have been ethical enough that when they become a part of the executive branch, they sold off their investments or they placed them in blind trust during the term, the duration of their term. That's certainly not what Trump has done. And Allen says, for years, we've watched the problem of money in politics gets worse and worse. But the Trump coin takes the matter to another level. It provides the technical means for enabling the vision of total capture of government institutions by tech communities. I encourage you to read this article. It is disturbing. So I'll admit, Bannon has never been one of my favorite people. But he made some comments in this article that I can truly appreciate. And I want to read what Bannon said. Bannon on NPR used the term techno-feudalism again and again and went on to explain. These oligarchy in Silicon Valley, they have a very different view of how people should govern themselves. They don't believe in the underlying tenets of self-governance. I think we have to realize that Musk agency and his famous meme coins are things we ought to start questioning. And Allen continues with, the principles of popular sovereignty were hard-won principles that vest the ownership in we, the people, not they, the owners of meme coins. Maybe it's time to dump Dogecoin or to dump Musk and what he's supposed to do with the government. I want to end this podcast by saying I think we have major warning signs that are flashing at us. Trump's actions of freezing critical funds, sabotaging public health efforts, and prioritizing personal vendettas over national security and stability are pushing America toward the brink. If you voted for Trump, it's time to face the reality of what you voted for. Stop being in denial about who he is. And those of us that didn't vote for him, we need to stand up, to rise up, to reject chaos and demand responsible leadership. We can do that by standing with our Congress representatives, by the courts, until Trump is out of office. Our democracy depends on it. Thank you for listening.